Hi, I'm Bernie Jaroslaw, Marketing Manager for Whitmix, and welcome to another installment of Quick Takes. Quick Takes is where I interview people from the dental industry, could be laboratories, could be dentists, manufacturers, everyone basically in the industry, to get a take on how things are going now in this round of COVID. We did this 4 or 5 months ago now when shutdowns started, and of course we're doing it again to see how labs are doing today. Not just laboratories, but in general how the industry is doing. So the purpose of Quick Takes is to get this information from people in the industry and share it with all of you so that you have a sense of where everyone is and not just your own business. So today I have the pleasure of introducing Carl Horrocks, and Carl I've known because he's spoken for Whitmix before. He is with 3Shape, and I'm really glad he's joined us today. So Carl, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Bernie.
And by the looks of things, I'd rather be where you are now than because that looks awfully inviting.
I wish I was there myself. Unfortunately, I'm in a small little office in my bedroom, but with a nice backdrop.
Excellent. Well, Carl's been working for 3Shape for a long time, actually since 2011, I think, or so, as a dental lab trainer, product specialist, business development manager in lab scanner sales. Carl's introduction into the dental lab field came from his family's lab, which turned 98 years old this year. Working hand in hand with his dad, who's been a technician for over 40 years, has taught him the intricacies of being a dental technician. So I'm in the same boat, by the way. I grew up in my dad's lab, and
all right,
I'm still going.
Fun times.
Fun times.
Cherish those memories.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you some questions and just get your personal opinion on some of these things, so you can share with everybody.
Yeah, great.
How are you, and how is it going at 3Shape?
Yeah, the last couple months have been, kind of difficult, little shake up. But things seem to be back in order, back on pace. July, end of June, July, when we saw clinics coming back on and labs coming back to work, we're definitely picked up. Very optimistic, but kind of business as usual as right now. But like, many of us in this industry, it definitely was a difficult time, March, April, May into June. But for the most part, I think we got through it. Things are a little bit different, but for the most part, in early August, it's kind of business as usual, looking forward, positive for the next couple months.
So like a lot of laboratories, as you know, shut down. Some are working with, or were working with a skeleton crew, just a fraction of the people that they had, just to keep the business open and viable. What did 3Shape do? I'm sure you didn't close. We know you didn't close, but what did it do to protect the health of the employees?
Yeah, so we were in a little unique situation with the U.S. office. We were actually in the middle of relocating offices. So we were actually at a work from home situation right when this started. So
Wow.
we had, right when it kind of came into play, we were actually all working from home to begin with because we were in the middle of switching offices. So we were kind of adjusted, working from home. Support teams had brought their PCs home, and I work from home some of the time already, so I was well adjusted. Some of the different things for our reps who focus on our clinical scanner, the Trios, they had to get creative with, doing demos. And one of the big things that they learned to do is Zoom calls, just like all of us. So they have been setting up Zoom meetings opposed to going into the clinic to do live demos. And some of the things that they learned is they actually got some of the doctor's time, one-on-one dedicated time. So they had their ear, where sometimes when you walk into an office, you have receptionists asking questions, assistants coming in interrupting, and they kind of felt they really did have a full, one-on-one experience, which they've never really gotten before. So on that level, we learned, maybe Zoom calls are the way to, go forward with demoing of products.
Yeah.
Yep.
How'd you like to be the guy who introduced Zoom to the world? And
I wish I bought in and to that stock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You were talking about trios, and that kind of brings up a thought, because we've seen a lot of a change in dentist behavior in terms of how quickly they adopt digital equipment and software and whatnot. So how has that, at least from 3Shape's perspective, how has that changed since COVID hit?
Yeah, so I guess, so obviously, right, digital impressions, cleaner, safer. Obviously labs would prefer getting these types of scans, right? We have some new features in the dental system software where labs can customize Trios order forms to their indication offerings, to their material settings. So we're already in the middle of trying to streamline, more digital to the lab with some software updates. But but things on the Trio side, on the global level, we saw one of the biggest usage rates in the recent months. So Trios is being used in the field and cases being sent. So I feel like on the whole global level of the Trios community are sending some of the most amount of cases in these last couple months, right when countries were basically turned back on. Obviously there was a big caseload, our customers needed to get treated, and there were a lot of Trio scans done in the last couple months.
Yeah, one of the few positive things about this nightmare is that I think the adoption of digital is growing and than we expected it to. So that kind of is a good thing. Now the other thing is 3Shape is one of the best companies out there in terms of education, and they provide a lot of great technical, clinical education. And so I imagine that because you mentioned Zoom, obviously we're not doing in-person meetings now, and of course some of the real bigger meetings are going virtual, like lab, and all of that. So what has 3Shape done to change their way they approach dental education?
Sure, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Our academy team were super busy during this time. Normally our academy team is doing in-office trainings, lab trainings, where they'll go visit labs and do, scanning training or software training, but not being able to travel. We really focused on webinars. And I think our whole global team did well over 100 webinars in those months of March, April, May, June. And they're all recorded. So you can go to our 3Shape website and search under Academy and webinars, or just Google search and go to the archive tab. And there you can sift through, the 100+ webinars, learn about, different softwares that we have to offer, broaden your horizon. But we were very focused on webinars, content, education, as a great opportunity to really educate the whole dental industry, whether you're a clinician that wants to learn, what does the lab do with my scan, or if you're a lab tech and you're like, oh man, that I really need to help my doctor learn how to scan better. We saw a lot of crossover of learning different intricacies during this time as well.
Yeah, that's another thing that that COVID has changed. I remember when it first hit. Boy, there were very few companies that didn't immediately jump into the virtual education wagon. and in a great way. I mean, there was such great material around the internet at that training material.
We actually put on a global virtual symposium in
Right.
June that was super successful. It was 2 days, 24/2 of webinars on the go. So all of our global users, KOLs, lectured for an hour, and every hour we had a new lecture, and that went extremely well. So well, I fielded a lot of calls by companies asking what platform I use to, or we use to put this
Wow.
on. And it's kind of interesting how everyone's looking at virtual opportunities like this. And, I think our global symposium really did a great job.
That's true, and I heard that it was a great success. So congratulations to you and the whole. Appreciate it. Fantastic, really. And we're all, I think most companies who exhibit at meetings are all starting to learn. We all have to go virtual at least for a while.
Yeah.
So we're doing that as well. So congratulations to you guys for the success you've had.
That was the marketing team. I didn't do much except try to push attendees.
That's okay. It turned out great. So you're all part of the same team. So I wanted to ask you one last question, and this is an opinion, and I ask everybody this, and that is, what do you think the lab business will look like in the next couple of years? Not way out in 10, 20 years, but in the next couple of years, I think we'll see some big differences, or at least I think so. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, well, I feel like our industry embraced digital pretty early on. The majority of dental labs are digital today or have some sort of digital product. So, maybe just in the shortcoming or, year or two, adding more digital, offering more digital indications, working with clinics to get digital scans to their lab, right? So, I think the lab space being pretty digital and knowledgeable and how to, acquire the data, design, crowns, manufacture it locally. I think being that footprint was already in place, it's only going to grow. Probably on the clinical side, being that, what is the adoption rate of iOS? Somewhere in the low 20s, maybe. One of the reports put out last year. That's probably going to grow. I'm assuming, especially being, a more safer environment, scanning and sending. But, being that the lab has embraced the technology already, I would just say, adding more software to keep up with the more iOS scans they're receiving. Partnering with companies that, maybe they don't do things in-house, where they can partner to manufacture parts elsewhere, but still keep it in the full digital realm. Just more digital streamlining, partnerships. I think on that level is kind of the short term, and then, the next year or two, I would see where the lab's going.
I appreciate that. I think you've got some great insight into that. And you mentioned doing work locally. I think it's going to help keep work in the U.S. Our shores, for sure.
Definitely.
Always was known to have that effect, but now it's picking up, and I think it will be even more so. So,
sure.
Thanks. And Carl, I want to thank you very much for spending a little time with me and with all of us. Giving us the benefit of your insights, and I hope we'll get a chance to see each other in person sometime in the relatively near future.
I hope so too. Thanks a lot for having me.
Stay well, and we'll be in touch soon.
You too.
Take care, Carl.
Bye.
Bye.